very good afternoon to you, our cherished listeners. It's indeed always very exciting to come your way every Wednesday with your favorite business development program on radio, Masterclass. Masterclass is powered by Joy Business and brought to us by Goyle. Goyle, they say good energy, Goyle, Yenara, Yedia. And so it's the 26th day of August. Gradually, the month of August is coming to an end in a few days. And yes, we're still in the 8th month of the year. Gradually, in a few months, I always say it'll be Christmas, and definitely it would also be time for election. So by all means, let's prepare in our businesses as the end of the year comes close. Today we continue our conversation on taxation. We've been talking about tax for a couple of weeks now. We've been spending time with my panelist here, a very special resource person I like to refer to as my friendly tax man, trying to sort of soften the conversation a bit so that we're able to get the tidbits out of it that help our businesses to grow. So today we continue with that conversation. Our friendly taxman is back in the studio with us. Kofi, you're welcome back to the studio and to the show.
Thank you. Yeah.
So, when I was having that intro with Sam, when I was coming to the studio, actually, I was thinking about it, and we have this African proverbs. They tell the entirety of a story as Africans, don't they? So there's this one proverb that I like very much. It says that after you've cried bitterly for a while, you definitely have to, it doesn't matter how bitterly you're crying, you definitely need to stop at some point and blow your nose, right? So after we've talked about tax and how it takes away from us and how it makes all of our lives miserable, even though it makes our state beautiful and helps our states to function, today we're going to be looking at a breather, if you like, or a silver lining, on the cloud. We're going to be looking at the reliefs and exemptions in our tax system, and how people can take advantage of them, even as individuals, even as businesses, and whatever field of endeavor that you're working in. Today also, we promised our listeners last week that we're going to get interactive pretty early in the show, so that all of the questions that you have on tax, you can pick up the phone and ask. We can go right back to the first question: what is tax and how does it work? What is chargeable income? Today we're going to be opening the phone lines early, so every question you have on tax that has not been answered yet, once we get interactive, which is in a few minutes, please do pick up that phone or send us a comment, and then we'll be happy to take your comments. But just by way of recap, last week we spoke about taxing our employment income. If we can just do a sort of quick recap for those of our listeners who missed out on that conversation, and let's sort of dovetail into today's conversation, which is the reliefs and exceptions and exemptions that are available, if you like, and benefits that are available, also both direct and indirect, in our tax administration. Talk to us, Kofi.
Okay. Good afternoon to your listeners. Last week we spoke about employment income, and I made mention that every remuneration that we get as a result of our employment is taxable. I mentioned which included allowances, if they give us rent, accommodation, if they give us fuel, if they give us vehicle, all those things are taxable. But then, of course, there are also certain things that we also benefit from those issues. So, in terms of employment income, I also mentioned some of the other deductions that we are able to get, for which a number of us do not take advantage of. And a special mention was made of SNET, where we have the Tier 1, Tier 2, and Tier 3. A number of employers or employees are aware of the Tier 1 and the Tier 2, but what many people do not take advantage of is the Tier 3 that also allows a room for 16.5% of our basic salary to be deducted and saved in a pension for us, for which, when we do, is also not taxable. So that is also critical for those who listen to me today who missed out last week, that in terms of pensions, there's the Tier 3 that we can all take advantage of. It's voluntary, so if the people do not organize themselves and try to do it, your employer will not do it for you. So employees can come together and start it. And once you start it, you get the benefit of it. There's a closed door, and I'm sure that is also what inhibits people from contributing to it. It means that you need to make that contribution and keep it for 10 years before you can access it. So, but it is good for me. Savings is towards your pension, is towards, so everything, money that you can get for free at the end of 10 years, no tax. So people I encourage to do that, and it will also reduce their tax burdens while they are in employment.
But that would even be better than the SNIT, because the SNIT, you don't get to touch it at all. until you're retired, isn't it?
Correct.
So if you can do this in 10 years, that's even
If you start work today, I mean, you have to achieve the age of 60 before you can get it. But this, if you start work today, after 10 years, you can access it without it being taxed. So that for me is also better. And that you get your bulk amount that you have kept there. If your trustee invested it properly for you, you may get all the gains or the interest and things that come with it full without anything being taken. So I will encourage people to take advantage of that. Forget about the 10-year time span. It's savings. Save it for 10 years and then you can access it yourself, the full amount, 100%, with no deductions at all. So that for last week. And then people also call in and wanted us to speak about the income that are exempt as under the law, and then the reliefs that are also available to them. So to dovetail into today's discussions, I will mention a number of reliefs that are also applicable to employees or to individuals that we can take advantage of. One clear one is the interest that we pay on our mortgages. So if you take a mortgage as an employee, the law allows you to deduct the interest on the mortgage from your basic income, from your basic salary for tax purposes. But the law, there's a clause with it, or there's a catch with it, that mortgage will be for your residential purposes. So if you take, let's say, you go to Ghana Home Loans and take a mortgage to acquire a residential property, one residential property in a lifetime, that mortgage for that one residential property, any interest that you pay on it on monthly basis, you can deduct that interest. So it is there for us also to take advantage of. I'm sure the law also did it so that people could also acquire places of, residence.
Usually, I will not ask you a question at this point. I'm smiling very broadly because I want you to say it again.
Yes.
Okay, I will not preempt you. Please say it again. Say it very slowly, because there are quite a few people working today who have mortgages.
Correct.
Middle income who have mortgages.
Correct.
Some have built houses for themselves. Yes. Some are building. Some have already bought houses.
Yeah.
What is this tax relief on mortgages again? Let's take it very slowly.
Okay.
And please, if you are listening, take a pen and a paper and let's write it. You just might be able to get some relief.
The law allows that if you take a mortgage for one residential property
in a lifetime,
whatever interest that you paid on that mortgage, that interest is deductible for your tax purposes as an individual.
Okay, so the interest paid to who?
To the financier, the one who is giving you the mortgage. Definitely, let's take a mortgage is like a loan.
Right.
But when we take a mortgage, the finance
house or to whoever is funding.
So you take a mortgage of, let's say, 100,000 Ghana cedis to build a house that you are occupying.
Yes.
That on that mortgage, if you are paying interest on that 100,000.
Yes.
So let's say the monthly interest, let's say 500 Ghana cedis.
Let's say total interest on the facility today in the market on the dollar. I think it's about it's between 12 and 15%.
Correct.
Okay. Assuming you are getting let's say something like 10% on the total mortgage amount.
Yes.
Now start from there. Use that scenario for me.
So let's say you take 100,000 mortgage property.
Yes.
Mortgage to acquire one residential property in your lifetime, and the total interest on that mortgage is, let's say, 20,000.
Yes.
Over the life of the mortgage. So usual mortgage will go between 10 to 15 years. That's or correct. 20 years. So what it means that every month you can divide that 20,000 over the life of the mortgage, and every month you can get that portion. So if 20,000 divided, let's say even 5, that gives like 4,000. So you can get that 4,000 as tax deductible from your salary every month.
Okay. So how do you access this? I'm deliberately asking the very basic,
yes, you're right.
seemingly dumb question.
How do you access it? If you go for a mortgage, definitely there will be an agreement.
From my employer. From, let's say, ABC Company. ABC Company gives me 100,000 to buy a house. Yes. ABC Company is charging me 10% on that facility.
So what you need to do is take that agreement with the mortgage company and then go and give it to your employer and tell your employer that, look, you've gotten this mortgage, these are the terms, these are the conditions, these are the payment schedules, and on monthly basis, these are the interest that is being deducted from me in my bank account or whichever way.
Yes.
So you provide that document to your employer, and based on that, at the end of every month, when that amount of money is deducted, you show them the interest that is deducted either from your bank account or from whichever way that you did it and the receipt to your employer. and your employer, based on that, is supposed to deduct that amount.
Deduct it from your taxable income.
From your taxable income.
So that it doesn't get taxed.
That's correct.
But not to refund it to you.
No.
Right.
To deduct it from your taxable income so it doesn't get taxed.
Okay, so what if typically I wouldn't ask you questions at this
point.
No,
that's fine. I mean, it's for education.
But we're talking about relief here,
yes.
so I'm jumping at the first relief. You know, we talked about the 16.5 earlier. I think last week last week, where we said that by the time your salary hits your account, as a tax agent of the government, your employer would have done due diligence by already pushing your tax to the, let's say, the taxman.
Correct.
So what hits your account is your take home.
Correct.
Less the tax that's already gone.
Correct.
Now, when this amount hits your account, you've already been taxed on the quantum of what remained.
Yeah.
After this amount is where, if you have, let's say, internal loans with your employer, who is also your financier, then you are now going to deduct the value of your repayments from that.
Correct.
And you are saying that the value of repayment, if it includes interest, can be represented to your employer so that it is not taxed. But by the time it hits your account, it's already been taxed.
Yes. So it's all about how the process goes. So let's take it this way. This month, Nana has going to take a mortgage from, let's say, Ghana Home Loans, because Ghana Home Loans is the one who gives mortgage. So what we are supposed to do is to present those documentation of the mortgage to your employer and tell your employer that I've gotten this mortgage, and by law, I'm entitled to the interest that I've paid on the mortgage as a deduction. So usually what I also know that mortgages will also give the payment schedule, just like any other loan that you're going to take. So they'll give you the payment schedule. The payment schedule will show the principal amount that you are paying and then the interest on which you are paying. So you give these documents to your employer. It is expected that your employer, before processing your salaries at the end of the month, so if we are in the beginning of the month and you give this document to them, by the end of the month when they are going to process salaries, your basic salary is, let's say, 10,000. So they are supposed to take first your tier 1 and tier 2 deduction, which is the Senate from it.
Right.
They are also supposed now to take, if you do the 16.5 that we mentioned, they are also supposed to take that 16.5 from it. If you are doing this interest deduction as well, they are also now supposed to also take this interest before they get to the amount that will be taxable. So it's not that they are going to tax it before they take this amount. So let's take in terms of, let's say your basic salary is 10,000. Your tier 1 and tier 2 is 1,000. So that one will be deducted, getting 9,000. You contribute to the tier 3, which is the 16.5. That one is also happens to be, let's say, another 1,000. So you are left with 8,000. You are paying a mortgage interest of 1,000. So they will also take that 1,000, and then the net, what will be left will be 7,000. Is that 7,000 that will be taxed?
Is that 7,000 that should be taxed?
Should be taxed. Yeah.
So if you are not sure, check with your employer,
yes.
Because that is a relief from this whole process that can come to you.
That you have to.
So you're listening to us this afternoon. You just tuned in. This is Masterclass here on the Superstation Joy 99.7.
But all documentation is important. So bring the agreement, bring the documentation. If the interest is taken from your bank account, show the bank statement for which the interest has been deducted. If they give you a receipt, you provide also, because your employer also should be able to account that.
In fact, your finance director should be able to help you.
Yeah.
So take your loan arrangement, if you have a mortgage, to your finance director and say, listen, Jack, I need you to help me. I have just heard on Masterclass that I can have a tax relief from interest on the mortgage I pay.
Correct.
So look at this thing for me. How much interest have I paid so far? Is it being done the right way, or is something happening wrongly?
Correct.
So that's what and at least that's one thing that has gone home today.
Correct.
Let's continue. So that's relief number 1.
Right, yeah.
Okay. Right.
Then there's what we call the marriage relief, marriage responsibility relief. That's what the law says, that if you have a dependent spouse or you have 2 children, it depends also if you are married and you have one of you is dependent on the other, or the 2 of you all have 2 children, then you as the individual, you can apply for that relief. Let me clarify that for these reliefs, for marriage relief, you need to apply for it. So apply means that you write or you fill a form to the Commissioner General of Ghana Revenue Authority, and then they will look at it and then grant you what they call a card. There's something called a card in terms of tax. So if they approve for you, you show that card also to your employer to tell the employer that, look, I have this relief, and based on that, they also take that amount of money. For marriage responsibility relief, you are entitled to 1,200 for the whole year. I'm sure people do not take it because they feel that amount is not that big. But
I think it's because they don't know.
They know.
wait again. I mean, today we're changing the structure of the show. Just really because we're talking about relief, and relief is money matter, and no money is small money. Sure. You see what I mean? So you're saying that there's something called
marriage responsibility
relief.
Correct.
If you are married.
If you are married.
And if you have what?
2 children.
Is it up to 2 or?
Up to 2. So I'm up to 2.
So if you have 3, you don't qualify?
No, 3. I'm sure 3 is even going beyond the requirement.
Okay.
So, and then you have. So
the minimum threshold is 1.
1.
If you have 1, you don't qualify. Yes. But if you have 2 or more, then you qualify. Yes. Right. Okay. And how do you access it again?
You apply to the Commissioner General of. So in most cases, the law will say Commissioner General. But if you have a tax office, you can apply to that your tax office. They will.
That I'm married and I have 2 children.
Yeah.
And so
I'm applying for this relief, which the law allows me, and I'm saying that for a year, if they approve it for you, you get 1,200 Ghana cedis to be deducted from your salary.
Will this be credited to you on, let's say, your PIN or your TIN? Sorry, your tax identification. I mean, because as an individual, if you're filing your taxes individually, if you're not in paid employment, where your employer would do it for you, then you should be doing this yourself if you are in self-employment. Will you receive a check from the government, or it will be tax credit to your account?
For the relief, you will not receive a check. If I employed, then once again your employer will have to take it from your basic salary before they tax you. If you are self-employed, then when you are filing your returns, then you also take this amount. If it results in a credit for you, then the revenue authority will now refund it to you.
But if I'm in paid employment, and my employer is paying dutifully every month, it means that my account is not in negative.
No.
At the GRA. So if there is this relief for me at the end of the year, and they even give me a credit on my account, it means that if the value of my total tax for, let's say, January is 1,200, it means I'll be paying tax for 11 months and not 12. So at some point there will be, my employer will give me back some money.
No, it depends. I mean, let's say let's say,
I don't know if the analogy is correct.
No, I get your point. I mean, but that's what I'm saying, that it's taking, these things supposed to be factored into the payroll processing. So if, let's say, they take and your net even results in where you don't have to pay tax, then of course you don't have to pay the tax. If they do not pay, and let's say you waited to the end of the year and you realize that if you have applied those reliefs at the beginning of the year, you have paid less tax, then they will apply, and then the refund. Sometimes there are processes for the refund. Either you use the excess in your subsequent tax payments, or you apply for the money to be paid to you. So there are processes also for the refund. But because I'm saying that for this one, because they are all payroll related, it is expected that it is done at the beginning. So that doesn't mean it results in you even paying the tax in the first place. So either way, it will result in a positive variance in my tax position. Yeah. If it results in a positive for you, or assuming that, let's say, you didn't do it at the beginning, but you waited to the end of the year, and we realize that based on all these relief that you are entitled to, you have paid taxes of, let's say, 100, but you've ended up paying 200. That means you have a credit of 100. That's correct. That credit of 100, you can apply for the cash to be paid to you, or you can apply that 100 is used to net off my future taxes. Right. So that is also one of the areas that we need to look at. So we are learning here on Masterclass today, and I'm sure that some people know this already, but for those who don't know, like me, who have found out today, if you are married and you have 2 or more children, there is tax relief available for you. Correct. Find out how it's done and take advantage of it. Like we always say, no money is small money. Yes. Okay, so that's tax relief number 2. Okay. Let's go on. Then also there's what we call the children education relief. So once again, what the law is saying, that you have children that you are sponsoring their education. Yeah. Then the law will grant you a relief. Up to 3 children in a year. So for each child, it is 600. So what it means then is that in a year, if you have 3 children in education, from basic up to tertiary institution, the law will allow you 600 per child. So that one as well, you get 1,800. Please say that again slowly. I'm curious about my relief. That's what we call children education relief. Children education relief. The law allows that. Okay. And the law allows for up to 3 children, from basic to tertiary institution.
Mm-hmm.
So for the 3 children, for each child you get 600 Ghana cedis
for the year.
For the year.
And what is the trigger? The children must be in school.
They should be your children, and they should be in school that you are providing for.
Right.
Or you are catering for their
so
fees. Or
I mean,
whatever.
in this era of free education, or even before free education, there was F-Cube, free compulsory universal basic education. So just send your child to school. Number one, let it be your child. Number 2, send the boy or the girl to school, and then you can file for this.
Correct.
600 cedis per child per year. So for those who have 5 children.
No, I mean there's a limit. So I mean you can only.
What's the cap?
600.
3 children. But it's still money. So if I'm married, and I now have 3 children,
correct,
it's 1,002 plus 1,008.
So that is 3,000 for the year.
You see, it's a lot of money, and I don't think that people know this. This is Masterclass. You are listening to the tax reliefs here on Masterclass. Please take a pen and a paper, write these things down, because we're learning to become better for our businesses and also for ourselves. We'll be opening the phone lines at some point, but you can send us your comments ahead of that to 0244 340 437. That's 0244 340 437. So it's not entirely true that the taxman only takes and takes and takes and takes.
Not at all.
He gives back, but he doesn't talk about the one that he gives back as loudly as he does the one that he takes.
Of course, everybody changes their debtors, but
let's
nobody
continue.
go pay their creditors. Okay. Then there's also what we call the age dependent relief. Age dependent relief. And what are the laws?
I keep looking at you every time you mention the relief, because there's so many people today who fall in the categories of the reliefs you're talking about.
Yes. And they are there. The law is in the law.
I don't have the statistics, but maybe somebody from the GRA or somebody should call in and share this information with us. What if you look at the revenue generation of the GRA? If you look at the analytics, what is the percentage? Do we get even up to 1% of Ghana's population who pay taxes filing for reliefs like this? If you are married, there's a relief. So if you have 3 children, there's a relief. If you have an aged dependent, how many of us don't have our parents alive? I mean, I know a few of us have lost our parents, but
but I mean, I think here we need also to be clear. It's not that maybe your parents leave and maybe a month you go and maybe give them a stipend, or you go and visit them and
how do you qualify aged dependent relief? Talk to us.
I mean, you have your age dependent who depend on you, who depends on you. You are the one who fund them, who finance them, who feed them. I mean, who provide for them. So that is where it is. So for that as well, and these people are also over 60 years. So let's say maybe your old man went on retirement, is no more working, and then is no more into any income generating activity that will be able to cater for them. But so you are hosting the person and caring for such a person. You also are entitled to 1,000 per 2 dependents. So let's say your mom and your dad. So for each of them, you get 1,000. So that also is 2,000.
So already we are at 5,000 already.
We already are 5,000.
So if you fall into all these 3 categories,
you can apply for it. The law allows you. So it's there. So you look at it and feel whether I qualify for it, and you apply for it.
You know what I'm going to do? I think that I want us to get interactive today. I'm going to open the phone lines while we keep talking and sort of waiting for our calls to come through. I want to get interactive right now. Opening the phone lines. Numbers to call 0302-216-541. Pick up that phone. Give us a call. We're discussing tax reliefs and exemptions here on Masterclass. And by all means, we want to know that it's not just that you pay tax every day, even though it helps our nation to grow and all of that, but there are also some reliefs that are available for us, reliefs that are available for us to be able to benefit from as individuals, as businesses, and all of that. So definitely want you to pick up that phone. Give us a call on 0302-216-541. That's 0302-216-541. You can also give us a call or send us a comment on 0244-340-437. So let's go on. Aged dependent relief.
So that is also there. Then the next relief is what also the law also called disability relief.
Go ahead.
Disability relief. So that as well, what the law says, that an individual who has a disability.
Okay.
For such a person.
Before you go on with the disability, I've got Seth on the line. Let's talk to Seth. Good afternoon, Seth. You're welcome to Masterclass.
Good afternoon.
Talk to me, Seth.
Yes, I just want to remind all of us that what we're saying has to do with the tax element on the amount is mentioning.
Correct.
Not the amount themselves, but the tax element. The tax you would have paid on those amounts is what will be, given back to you. Right. Because you would have paid those taxes anyway.
Right.
So it is the tax element and not those amounts. Right. Because it looks as if people will take those amounts as though they are entitled to those amounts. Just to make this clarification.
Thank you so much, Seth, for that clarification. He makes a very important point about, I've got Kojo on the line, I'll pick up Kojo soon. He makes a very important point about the fact that there's a tax component. But I would then ask the question and say, for the aged dependent, for example, how would that work? For the first one, which is on your mortgage, I understand how that would work because there are deductions that go through. But if you've got aged people, how will that work? Before you answer that, though, let's talk to Kojo. Good afternoon, Kojo. You're welcome to Masterclass.
Good afternoon, sir. I want to make an inquiry on the first relief he mentioned, the mortgage. The mortgage,
yes.
Yes, sir. I just wanted a question. I have a situation. I have paid my mortgage. I finished paying. Midpoint. I didn't wait for the whole 20 years to elapse. I finished paying at a point. Okay. So in my scenario, how do I claim such relief? Because I'm no more working with that company, so I've changed jobs for I'm in the third company.
Oh, you've already moved on.
Yes, I've moved on from other companies. So I don't know how I will benefit or I can benefit from this relief.
Okay. Just keep your dialogue here. We'll try and answer that question for you. Thank you so much. I've got Prince on the line. Okay, so let's try Kojo's question now. Kojo says, I've moved on from my company. But where I took the mortgage, I paid for it already. What do I do? Before you answer that, let's also talk to Prince. Good afternoon, Prince. You're welcome to Masterclass.
Hello. Good afternoon.
Talk to me, Prince.
Yes, I work in the public sector. Okay, I pay tax. I have my TIN number and all those stuff.
Right.
Am I also entitled to any tax relief?
Sorry, I didn't quite get your question clearly. If you can just repeat it for me briefly. Thank you, Prince.
Okay, I'm saying I work with the public sector.
Right.
Okay.
Right. Public sector.
I've been paying tax since 2008.
Right.
To date.
Okay.
Okay. I have my PIN number and all those things. Am I entitled to a tax relief?
Okay, all right. Please keep listening. We'll try and answer that question for you. He's been paying tax for a while now. He wants to know whether he's entitled to any benefits. Okay, let's answer those three, and then I'll go to social media.
What I would say is that maybe from the last person.
Yes.
As long as you are a taxpayer and you have your TIN and things, this relief is for individuals. All these ones that I'm mentioning are for individuals. So you are entitled to it. You need to apply for it, and then you can start utilizing it. These ones, if you haven't applied for it and they have not been approved for you, then you can't utilize it. So wherever that you are working, you apply for it to the Commissioner General and you get the approval, and then you can give it to your employer. If you are self-employed, then when you are filing your returns, you can also indicate that, attach that, yes, I have this relief, so I have applied it in calculating my taxes. So
by the way he can access it is to write to the Commissioner General.
Correct.
Okay, I've got another caller. Let me add that to the two questions you have, and then we continue. Good afternoon. I've got Manu down as your name. Welcome to Masterclass.
Good afternoon, sir.
Oh, is it Mayu?
Yes, Mayu from Tema.
Oh, Mayu, talk to me.
Yeah. Thanks so much. This is a very educative program.
Thank you, Mayu.
But I just want to contribute that, so far as the aged relievers concerned, we all have parents.
Indeed.
This person, Kojo, might want to have for the mother, Mama, they are all coming from the same parent. And as much as that relief is there, it's not for all the children to take. It's only one person who is accepting that responsibility to make sure the parents are being kept well.
So if I understand you, it's for one set of parents.
Exactly.
So that if you have four children, only one of your children.
What it means is that it's only one child that can.
Really.
So if your parents have 3 children, all
of you cannot take that relief.
Right.
And also, I want to add that in as much as those reliefs are there for us, and most of the time because it's an annual benefit, when you actually do your calculation of your tax liability, by the time it will reduce your taxable or your tax liability.
Yes.
So most of the time, hardly anything few or special cases that you see that GRA will refund some money to you, but it's something that is still,
at least it will reduce the burden.
Exactly, it will reduce your tax responsibility.
Thank you so much.
Thanks so much. This is a very educative program.
I've got Valentina. Let's talk to Valentina. So my use was a contribution. You still have 2 questions to answer. Let's talk to Valentina. Good afternoon, Valentina. You're welcome to Masterclass.
Good afternoon, sir.
Talk to me, Valentina.
Please, I'm just, I don't know what to say. I just heard about this tax relief thing.
You are shocked like me, eh?
Yes. The truth about it, my parents, I'm sure I will not be in the know of this. And he has been in the public sector for about 32 years.
Right.
So if he's to apply, will it be calculated for the 32 years or he will be paid for?
It's not you who will apply. You who will apply. Are you an only child?
No, we are 4.
So one of you will have to apply for your parents. You see how it works?
Okay.
But we'll share some more information.
But let me ask, is the father beyond 60 years? Because the age dependent is for those dependent who are above 60 years.
Valentina, is your father above 60? Okay, I think we lost Valentina, but she's listening. So if he's above 60, then yes, it applies to him.
And as Manu rightly said, it's only one child that can apply. In all these cases, the marriage responsibility, for instance, husband can apply, wife can apply. Both cannot apply for the same relief. So that also clarity that we need to do. For the children education, the same thing.
So let me just chip this in that, just in case you don't understand clearly what we're talking about, go to your tax office, your local tax office. These things are backed by law, so they are available to us by way of information. Go to your local tax office, ask them that I have heard on Masterclass that there is a relief for the aged. What is it about? Give me the literature, let me read it. Or I have heard about mortgage responsibility relief, or I have heard of marriage responsibility relief. What is it about? Or I've heard about tax relief on mortgages. What is it about? Then read it for yourself and try and understand it so that you don't misunderstand it. Let's go ahead, Kofi.
Okay. I think what somebody also wanted to know, he's moved on and he's finished paying.
Precisely.
What I would say that if he's filing his returns, maybe you should probably get the document and things and attach and show the interest that he has paid, and then take it to his tax office, and they will consider whatever entitlement that he's entitled to. But what I will also add that it doesn't matter whether you have moved on to a new engagement or not, as long as you have that mortgage agreement, I believe that you will still be paying the interest. If you finish paying the interest, I'm sure that will be a bit of difficulty because it's going to be prospective going forward. But if you did not do it last year, even the mortgage itself is ended, then it will be a bit of a challenge to say that something that is ended, you are now going to apply it. So once he has also not enjoyed, then it means that he can take another mortgage. And then he can now use it because in this case you haven't enjoyed any mortgage at all on your primary residence.
So it doesn't exist for you.
So it doesn't exist for you, so you can also now go back to it. Okay. Then somebody said it's in the public sector. Yes. I guess public sector maybe because of who pays them. And I'm sure it's the Controller Accountant General who pays them. But I also believe that once he's also get this approval, and you can show, because when they give you the approval, there's a card that they give to you. The law requires that they give you a card or a note or something. You can probably send that note to the Controller Accountant General, and then they will, based on that, also consider deducting these reliefs from his salary.
I got this one on social media. You didn't add your name. It says, hi, okay, it says, I'm Kwame, and I was made redundant since last year, November. Can I get the 1,200? Also, I have 2 children, and one is in nursery. Can I get the 600? Here, when you are answering this question, clarify for me, because I think Seth called and said it's not the full value of the money, but it is the relief of tax on those payments. And I was saying that would apply for me in the case of the mortgage. But if you have a child, is it the expenses you paid on the child or the school fees that you get a tax relief on? If you can just clarify that.
I think what Seth said is not different from what I said, but maybe it's an understanding.
Okay.
You know, when we say we have taken 100 from your salary, the rare benefit to you is that that 100 will have been taxed.
Okay.
So what Seth was saying that, so in that case you get the benefit of the tax that you will not pay. But if it is the 1,200 and we divide 1,200 by 12, that is what 100.
Yes.
So what it means that every month that 100 will be taken from your salary before the rest is taxed. So that is the clarification I want.
But is it done for those in paid employment and for those in self-employment?
That's what I'm saying. This is something that you have to apply for. for the Commissioner General to give you a note or a card that you can give to your employer.
If you are self-employed, how do you apply for this?
You still apply because if you are self-employed, you also pay taxes. Remember last week when
you estimate how much you earn.
They were estimated and pay you. So
yes.
when you are filing your returns, because I said for a self-employed or for a sole proprietor, you are taxed as an individual on the PAYE system. So when you are filing your return, in that case, yours will be maybe the annual one because you will be paying at the end of the year. So you will then prepare your return, take all these reliefs from it when you have the approval, and then the rest you apply the normal tax rate, the graduated rate that we discussed last week.
Yes.
So that is
okay.
That.
This one is from Nana, also social media. It says, "Good afternoon. I think Ministry of Employment should work towards giving some of these reliefs across board. For example, the one for children." This is Nana. Didn't say where you're sending your message from. Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
No, the relief is there in the law. So I'm saying that I'm not too sure how the Ministry of Employment will come in because this tax is applied by an act that is governed by the Revenue Authority. So once it is in the law, it's up to you, the employee, to take advantage of it.
But people don't know.
People don't know. So maybe what I would say, maybe education, and just like Joy is doing now, maybe the education, and then you will apply. So unless maybe if her understanding is that maybe they should just make it like flat, that everybody who has a child should just enjoy it, but that is also not how it is done. Like,
I don't think they'll do that.
Yeah, they won't do it. And like I'm saying, they are also saying.
So if you don't know, you don't know.
If two people, it's only one person that can apply. So husband can apply, wife can apply. Both cannot go for a child relief. Yeah. So right. that is also one thing that.
Okay, I've got Mary Magdalene from Kolebu. Mary says, "I do my tier 3 with Prudential called PruWealth. How do I go about getting my tax relief on the tier 3? This sounds more like a pensions question, but
no. I think I think she's making reference to the 16.5% other ones that are, yeah. So what was the name again? Magdalene. If you do, I will expect that PruWealth is registered as a trustee with the NPRA. If they are, I mean, if that is so, then of course you qualify. So all that you need to do is show your deductions to your employer, and then they will apply the necessary relief for you.
Okay. I've got something here that's making me laugh. This one is from Dan Sokransing. It says, "Yeah, you see the way you were shocked when he mentioned the reliefs, because these things are only for big men." Well, let's diffuse that thought process. Maybe a few words there. It's available for every Ghanaian.
It's available for the law, everybody.
But we don't know.
Maybe because people are not taking advantage because they are not aware of. So we are creating the awareness for people to take. And it will surprise that maybe the big men might not even go for it because for them
it's more money.
It's more money. But for those of us who get the little ones, these are where we will benefit most when we take advantage of.
This one is from Kobe from USA. Kobe says, "Good show, yeah. I'm happy with the taxman today." Hey, only today. Everywhere, especially in well-regulated tax regimes, those who make a lot of money, both individuals and businesses, are those who know how to go around their taxes. Yes, sure. Knowledge is power. Thanks for this. My question is, how are the reliefs different from tax avoidance? A very good question, Kobe. You know, it brings me to another phrase called tax evasion. What is it? Oh, I don't have a lot of time left, but tax evasion, tax avoidance, tax relief. Talk to us about those three.
Okay. Let me say tax reliefs.
Do you want to issue a disclaimer before you speak?
Oh, no, really. Are benefits that the law allows you to take advantage of.
Right.
Tax avoidance is a system of some how you plan your taxes. I mean, there are certain things that you can do or plan your tax when you speak to a tax consultant that they can manage your tax affairs to you that you minimize paying your taxes. That one is completely different from tax evasion, which is illegal. So for me, tax avoidance is a tax planning issue, which maybe a whole new date will be required for us to discuss about. And tax reliefs are benefits that the law have granted to individuals to take advantage of. So it's there, like I said. The thing is there. It's up to you now to volunteer to take advantage of it.
I've got Caleb from West Legon. Caleb says, "Hi, tax relief is something I read in school and is clearly stated in the law, but I'm afraid of Ghana government because they do not pay. Can your resource person explain?" Well, I don't think you're a government spokesman, but maybe just reassure our listeners
Caleb, I find, like I said, I'm not the spokesman for the government, but it's not a question of the government does not pay. It's a question of how many of us apply or take advantage of those reliefs. It's just the same way even paying the tax itself. A lot of people do not pay the taxes, so the government, revenue authority or the agency go chasing people to collect the taxes. I don't think anybody on his or her own will wake up one morning and say, I've gotten some money that the revenue authority does not know, so I'm going to declare the tax and pay. It's something that is typical of all of us. So, like I said, it's something that is available to you to apply. The government will not come and chase you and give the money to you. You go and apply, because in applying, you are making a statement. Right. You are making a declaration, and you have probably sometimes they will ask you for certain documentation. Assume you are going for a marriage responsibility relief, for instance. They may ask for your marriage certificate, certain aspects or questions that they may ask you. So these are some of the reasons why they say that you yourself volunteer. You say you have 3 children. Okay, you can show their birth certificates and things to the revenue authority. So you go, you apply, and they ask questions, and you show some of these things. You have old aged dependents. They may probably ask you 1 or 2 questions. They themselves cannot sit down and say, Nana has a aged dependent, so let's go and give him this amount of money or that amount of money. So it's up to all of us also now to up our game now that we are aware of it. Let's take advantage of it and see whether it will be paid or it will not be paid. But I can tell you that if you apply for it and they approve, it's sticky. I know people who have taken some of these reliefs before.
But Kobe makes an important point. Those who are wealthy in all of the nations across the world are those who know how to go around their taxes.
Yeah, because maybe they take advantage of some of these things. They take advantage of some of these things because there are several things that are available for people to take advantage of.
Apart from these 3, are there any other reliefs?
I was on the disability relief.
And can you point us to somewhere in the Act? The Act, maybe the number of the Act, so that if people want to go and read themselves, and then where they can find the reliefs in the Act. But let's talk about that. I've got just in 30 seconds. Let's do disability relief.
So the law also allows for those who.
Oh, here you go. I've got Michael. Michael says I apply for the tax reliefs every year, and I always get paid. So that's a testimony right there. Okay, so it does work. It's not just for the big men. Michael, I hope you are not a big man. Anyways, okay, so that's Act 896. Okay, one of my listeners has just shared with us Act 896. Yeah.
No, 896 is the act or the law governing taxation in Ghana.
Right.
So if you are looking for an area for the relief, it's the 5th schedule. There's a section in the 896 that we call the 5th schedule.
Okay.
So you go there, all these things are there in the 5th schedule, under the 5th schedule.
Okay. So if you are looking for reliefs in Ghana's tax system, yes. Act 896, go to the 5th schedule and you will find all of these things there. I've got just a few more minutes. Yes. What I take out from today's conversation?
What I would say is that
few seconds.
There are reliefs available to individuals, and the law allows that. So, for those of us who are not aware today, I hope a number of us have heard quite a number of them. And then I would say that apply for it and take advantage of it. It will minimize your tax liability. I must add though that people who are saying that they are not aware. Sometimes you see when you apply for these things, the other issue that comes with it is whether you are filing your returns, whether you even have a TIN and other things. And people do not want to do that. There's a responsibility that goes with these benefits. So if you apply and you are not filing your returns, the Commissioner General may refuse to grant you to you. So these are also some of the reasons why people are also not availing themselves of some of these things, because like I said, they are not open to go for that, the responsibility that are associated with some of these things. But if you are filing your returns and you are also out there and you have your TIN, you are doing businesses and you want to take advantage of these things, just organize your records, apply, file your return and get benefit of these things, because like you said, the 3 that we mentioned, we are 5,000. If you continue, even for the disability, it's 25% of your income.
25% of your income. Disability.
The disability. So that is a significant amount of money.
I'm sure that we will have to continue this conversation. I'm sure my producer will give us some more time here on the show, but we'll run out of time for today's show. This has been Masterclass. We've been talking about tax reliefs and exemptions. We're spending time here in the studio with our friendly taxman, Mr. Kofi Frimpong Corey, who is a tax consultant from KPMG. Up next, we continue with The Ignition with Sammy Forson. Thank you for listening and see you same time next week.